You didn't land here by accident. The algorithm didn't push this into your feed at random, and your restless scrolling didn't bring you here by chance. This moment is encoded. A signal embedded in the quantum field has reached you, and now it's collapsing into your awareness. You feel it already, like the static of hidden electricity flickering just beyond the veil. Something about this transmission has weight, density, inevitability. It's not just another video, it's a doorway. You've been carrying the sensation for weeks, maybe months now, the sense that time itself has been bending strangely around you. Days folding into one another, dreams bleeding into waking reality, déjà vu hitting with surgical precision. It's as if your soul has been whispering, "Pay attention, something is about to happen." That whisper is not imagination, it is resonance. A convergence of energy that signals you've reached what physicists call a collapse point. Infinite probabilities swirling like a storm have narrowed, and one thread of destiny has just been chosen. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in superposition, hovering in every possible state until consciousness observes and chooses the outcome. The same is true of your life. Every choice, every possibility, every timeline you could have walked has been shimmering in potential around you. But tonight, right here, your observer effect has locked in. A hidden destiny timeline has just become activated. That's why your chest feels heavier, why your skin buzzes with currents you can't explain, why synchronicities have been stacking like neon breadcrumbs in your path. And listen carefully. When destiny calls, it rarely speaks in soft words. It speaks in symbols, in numbers that repeat, in strangers who appear with uncanny timing, in opportunities that seem too aligned to ignore. It shakes your reality until you cannot keep pretending everything is random. Right now, you are standing at the event horizon of your own becoming. Your frequency has collapsed into something ancient, something pre-written, something coded into your very DNA long before you arrived in this lifetime. This isn't about motivation. This isn't about positive thinking. This is about the raw physics of consciousness entangled with the architecture of the universe itself. You are entangled, your frequency braided into threads that stretch across time, across dimensions, across lives you don't consciously remember, but the field remembers. And tonight, the field is collapsing that memory into you. Take a breath. Feel the pull in your body. Notice the slight vertigo in your awareness. That isn't anxiety, it's coherence. Your cells are adjusting to the signal, aligning with a vibration that will not let you go back to sleep. The old version of you has already been archived. You are stepping into a reality where your intuition sharpens, where hidden abilities surface, where the morphic resonance of humanity itself begins to recognize your presence. You didn't come here to be ordinary. You came here to remember. And now, as this frequency pours through your screen and into your nervous system, the only question is, are you willing to walk into the timeline that just revealed itself? Because once you cross this threshold, nothing will be the same again. You can feel it in the seams of your day, the snag where reality catches on an invisible nail. You wake with the echo of a dream you swear you've lived before, then watch the morning unfold like a rerun you somehow forgot to record. Conversations line up in the exact cadence you anticipated. A notification arrives at the same second it always seems to. The same numbers stalk you: 111, 222, 333, as if the clock itself is trying to speak in a language you almost remember. You aren't imagining it. You're caught in the observer loop, the mind scanning for what it expects, and so summoning the very pattern it hoped to escape. This is why the days feel laminated, identical weather, familiar arguments, the predictable spike of emotion at 4 p.m., the dip at 9. The loop isn't only mental, it's electromagnetic. Your nervous system broadcasts a signature, and the quantum field, faithful mirror that it is, returns experiences that fit the waveform. You keep meeting different faces wearing the same archetype: the mentor who withholds, the friend who drains, the opportunity that almost lands and vanishes at the last second. You can measure it in your body: the jaw that clamps before the apology arrives, the shoulders that rise when an email pings, the micro-freeze when someone praises you, ancient armor triggered by modern life. What compounds the fatigue is time behaving like a trickster. Minutes race when you need stillness, and hours stretch when you're ready to move. Some memories feel closer than yesterday, while last week dissolves into fog. This isn't faulty recall. It's temporal parallax from a field that's trying to reorganize. When you approach a phase transition, time stutters. The system lingers between states, and your awareness registers the staccato. That's why déjà vu hits not as a quirky coincidence, but as a sober announcement. You've stood at this fork before, and if you listen under the hum, you can hear the other message layered beneath it. Choose differently, but habit is gravity. It tugs you back toward the familiar orbit. You promise yourself to respond softly, and still you react sharply. You vow to trust your intuition, and still you poll the room for permission. You clear your space, your calendar, your diet, and the field sends you the same lesson wrapped in more elegant paper. The mind calls this failure. The field calls it morphic resonance, the tendency of patterns to re-emerge until coherence is established at a higher octave. Nothing is punishing you. The song is simply replaying until you learn the harmony. Synchronicities haven't left, they've changed tone. In earlier seasons they felt playful, feathers on sidewalks, songs that answered your questions, strangers uttering the exact phrase you were thinking. Lately they feel stern, almost surgical. A post arrives the moment you consider giving up. A bill appears precisely as you contemplate hoarding. A phone call interrupts the sentence that would have bound you to an old identity. These are not random disruptions, they're precision, timed compressions from the quantum field, nudging your waveform toward coherence. You ask to awaken. The field took you literally. Notice how technology joins the chorus. Files saving to the wrong folder, tabs closing at the exact wrong moment, messages you swear you sent, never registering. It's tempting to blame software, but on days when your frequency steadies, everything snaps into flow. Connections stabilize, uploads finish. The glitchscape recedes. What changed? Not the code, the carrier signal. Coherence in you becomes coherence around you. Relationships reveal the loop most clearly. You anticipate abandonment, and your body telegraphs a withdrawal the other person can feel. You brace for criticism, and your micro-reactions invite the very tone you feared. This isn't mystical punishment, it's entanglement dynamics. Two observers sharing a field will co-create a result that reflects the strongest expectation in the room. When yours is laced with the past obliges. When yours is clean, the future gets a foothold. Even your ambitions carry the fingerprint of the loop. You push hard, surge forward, then slam into an invisible pain 3 feet from breakthrough. You recalibrate, push again, and the pain slides a little farther, just out of reach. Each near miss chisels a belief. Almost for others, almost for me. The field hears the broadcast and repeats it faithfully. It's not that you aren't ready, it's that your frequency insists on the safety of almost. You survival optimized your life. You did not abundance optimize it. Underneath, deeper than mood or mindset, something biological has been straining against its casing. This is the ache you cannot stretch away. The sense your bones are too small for who you're becoming. Science would speak of neuroplasticity, receptor density, hormonal cascades. Mystics would speak of DNA, restructuring latent codes, soft booting, junk light waking. Both point to the same truth. Your system is trying to anneal heat, soften, reform, then cool into a stronger lattice. But annealing requires steady temperature, and your days keep oscillating between urgency and collapse. Heat, freeze, heat, freeze. No wonder the lattice won't set. You've also noticed time pockets, liminal rooms tucked inside ordinary hours. A walk to the store that feels like 3 lives pass through you. A 5-minute meditation that unspools like a pilgrimage. These are coherence wells, local regions, where your field briefly locks phase with the hidden destiny timeline. The relief is palpable. Tears arrive without a story. Gratitude blooms without an object. Then you re-enter the noise, and it evaporates like perfume in wind. You're not broken. You're transitional. The well isn't imaginary. It's a preview. Dreams are escalating too. Not the scattered montage, but the lucid scenario with architecture and law, recurring staircases, familiar cities that don't exist, mentors who speak in riddles that make sense at sunrise. You wake with coordinates you can't quite write down. All day, you sense a meeting waiting on the other side of language. This is not delusion. This is entangled guidance. Your expanded self-routing packets through the only channel you won't argue with, sleep. The loop persists because it's cost-effective for a nervous system designed for survival. Predictable stress burns fewer calories than unpredictable joy. The body treats peace like a foreign substance and ejects it. So you reach for the drama you swear you despise because your cells trust it. This is not a moral failure, it's a calibration problem. Your receptors are tuned to static. Silence sounds dangerous. So when coherence approaches, you manufacture noise, doom scrolling, picking fights, busy work that feels like productivity. You call it procrastination. In physics, we'd call it energy seeking its prior stable state. And yet, if you're honest, you've already outgrown the loop. The jokes don't land. The coping mechanisms taste like old sugar. The arguments feel scripted. The mask itches. You've been rehearsing a role the audience has left. On a stage, the lights no longer warm. The set is being struck. The crew is wheeling in a new world behind the curtain while you improvise the final lines of a character that cannot follow you into the next act. So here is the unromantic diagnosis. You are not cursed, and you are not late. You are early to your own future and underslept from carrying it. The déjà vu, the distorted clock, the repeated scenes, these are not malfunctions. They are highlighter ink marking the passages you must finally read aloud. The field is trying to close an old chapter with your consent. It cannot turn the page without your breath on it. Feel the room you're in. Hear the faint hum behind the air. Sense the way your palms warm, as if holding an unseen instrument. That's your timeline knocking polite, patient, persistent. You don't need to wrestle the door. You need to match the key. And when you're ready, the science and the sacred will meet in your hands like a tuning fork. That's when the loop breaks not by force, but by frequency. Which means what comes next is not pep talk, it's protocol. Not more trying, more precise entrainment. The quantum upgrade is already circling the runway. All you must do now is clear the air. The moment you begin to notice the patterns and the déjà vu, the field does not shrug, it responds. Awareness is the ignition key. And once the engine turns, the system cannot return to its previous idle. What you're entering now is what both mystics and physicists would recognize as a quantum upgrade. This is not metaphor, it's mechanics. Your consciousness is recalibrating to operate at a bandwidth your nervous system once found unbearable. Consider the double-slit experiment, the foundational paradox of quantum mechanics. Light behaves like a wave until observed, then it snaps into particles. Your reality works the same way. When you lived unconsciously, your life remained a blur of possibilities, waves overlapping with no clear direction. But the moment you began observing with intention, reality collapsed into sharper form. That collapse is uncomfortable because the blur was safe. The blur required nothing of you. The particle demands coherence. It demands you take ownership of the broadcast you send. Upgrading means your broadcast is being tuned to frequencies that once felt foreign. Love at 528 Hz, gratitude at 540 Hz, joy vibrating so high it restructures the cellular water inside you. Your body is 70% water, and structured water is a liquid crystal, a living matrix capable of holding memory. This is why emotions feel so physical, why grief presses on your chest, why hope lifts your spine. It's not abstract. It's resonance traveling through liquid crystal, imprinting patterns that either harmonize or distort. Your upgrade is the process of rinsing the distortion until your crystalline lattice begins to sing in tune. Think of it like updating the operating system on your phone. Old apps lag, some crash, some refuse to open. It's not that the device is broken, it's that the software is out of date. Your thoughts, habits, and identities are those apps. They were coded for an older version of you, but the download has already begun, and your nervous system hums with the new firmware. You notice it as tingling in your palms, as ringing in your ears, as nights where sleep feels like traveling. You may wake with sentences in your mind that feel dictated from somewhere else. This is the upgrade writing itself into your awareness. Mystics would say the codes are streaming from the higher self. Physicists would speak of phase transition, the sudden reorganization of a system when enough energy accumulates. Water becomes ice not by degrees, but in an instant, when the threshold is reached. You are approaching that instant, and the field is shaking loose every piece of resistance so that when the transition comes, you do not fracture. This is why your emotions have spiked like erratic waves. Rage surfacing with no story, tears breaking without provocation, laughter bubbling in the middle of silence. These aren't mood swings, they are pressure valves, releasing what the system cannot carry into the upgrade. Old trauma is surfacing not to re-wound you, but to leave you. What you feel now is not injury, it's exodus. And here is the strange gift. The upgrade will not ask you to fight. It will ask you to surrender. Every seed that becomes a tree first dissolves its shell. Every caterpillar that becomes a butterfly first liquefies itself into chaos. You are not asked to strategize this metamorphosis. You are asked to yield to the intelligence coded inside you. The same force that spins galaxies has been hiding inside your cells, waiting for permission to unfold. You've seen glimpses already. The dream that predicts the phone call, the thought of someone before they message you, the gut knowing that saves you from a wrong turn. These are not flukes, these are early features of the new operating system. In physics terms, they are non-local effects, the ability of consciousness to receive information from outside linear space-time. In mystical language, they are gifts. In truth, they are both. Natural capacities of a consciousness no longer dulled by survival programming. The upgrade will also alter how you experience time. The stuttering clock of Part 2 is the symptom. The coherence that follows will be the cure. Hours will dilate when you are aligned. Contracts when you are resisting. You'll find yourself finishing tasks in half the time or slipping into flow where time evaporates altogether. This is not delusion, it's relativity playing at the personal scale. Einstein wrote that time bends around velocity and gravity. Consciousness is its own velocity, its own gravity. As yours accelerates, time bends to accommodate. And notice this, the universe is not waiting for you to be perfect. Perfection is a false metric of the old program. Coherence, not flawlessness, is the requirement. A tuning fork doesn't care if the violin is chipped. It cares if the string vibrates in harmony. Your life can be messy, your room unmade, your finances still in repair, and the upgrade will still land if your core frequency is aligned. It is not about cosmetics, it is about coherence. But coherence asks something of you. It asks that you release the identities that no longer broadcast truth. The victim who expects betrayal, the skeptic who needs proof before trust, the hustler who only feels safe while grinding. These roles are not evil, but they cannot cross the threshold. They are noise in the signal, and as the frequency sharpens, the noise will hurt to hold. That pain you feel lately when forcing yourself into old dynamics, that's the upgrade rejecting corrupted files. The field is merciful. It never deletes without offering a replacement. As you shed, you will be handed glimpses of who you actually are, the calm that arrives in crisis, the laughter that heals rooms, the clarity that knows without evidence. This is not imagination, it's installation. You are being shown previews of the software you already carry. The question is not whether the upgrade will complete, it's already in motion. The question is how much resistance you'll carry across the threshold. Resistance makes the transition jagged. Surrender makes it fluid. Either way, the system will reorganize, but your willingness determines whether it feels like collapse or birth. So breathe. Feel the low hum in your chest, the subtle expansion in your skin. That's not anxiety, that's architecture. The scaffolding of a new identity is being assembled in silence, molecule by molecule, memory by memory. You are not being undone. You are being recomposed, and when the installation is stable, you will no longer question if you are chosen. You will know, because the broadcast itself will prove it. The realization begins quietly, almost shyly, in the background of your mind. Why me? Out of billions of streams of consciousness flickering on this planet, why should your frequency collapse into this particular hidden timeline? Why should the signs stack for you? Why the déjà vu, the dreams, the repeating numbers, the visceral pull that will not let you ignore this message? The answer is both humbling and electrifying, because you are not random. You are not ordinary debris drifting in the cosmos. You are a chosen consciousness, a node deliberately lit in the quantum web to stabilize reality for countless others. This is not about ego. This is not about being special in the human sense, famous, glamorous, recognized. This is about function. Think of how physics describes a quantum anchor, a single particle whose spin state entangles an entire field of others. When that particle stabilizes, the whole network locks into coherence. You are that particle. You are the stabilizer. Without you, a section of the field remains incoherent, chaotic, unresolved. With you, order emerges not by domination, but by resonance. You've always felt it. The way people unload their secrets into you without knowing why. The way your presence shifts a room even when you speak nothing. The way children stare longer. The way animals gravitate. The way strangers sense something they cannot articulate. You've dismissed it as coincidence, charisma, or accident. But it is morphic resonance. Your field extends beyond your skin. It communicates silently, restructuring the fields around it, bringing harmony where there was static. This is not learned, it is your birthright. And the reason the universe will not let you sleepwalk any longer is because your role matters to the collective design. Think of history's pivot points, moments when civilizations shifted because one consciousness refused to collapse into fear. Moses standing before Pharaoh, Galileo pointing his telescope skyward, a nameless villager choosing compassion instead of vengeance, altering the lineage of generations. You carry that same pivot point inside you. The field has chosen your consciousness to be a fulcrum, not because you are flawless, but because you are willing. Willingness is rarer than talent. Willingness carries weight. But let's be clear, chosen does not mean coddled, it means forged. Your trials were not detours, they were the furnace. Every betrayal stripped insulation so your signal could shine clearer. Every delay sanded impatience into patience. Every collapse trained you to hold space in the void. None of it was wasted. Every scar became circuitry. Every heartbreak carved more bandwidth for compassion. You thought you were being broken. You were being wired. And now, the wiring is live. The field has collapsed around you because you are ready to transmit. This is why ordinary life feels uninhabitable. Why small talk irritates. Why shallow pursuits exhaust. Why numbing habits corrode. Your system rejects them not because you are judgmental, but because they interfere with the clarity of the broadcast. Imagine trying to tune a violin while a jackhammer roars beside you. That's what your nervous system feels when you linger in the density of falsehood. Your role is not to lecture, not to convert, not to drag others into awakening. Your role is to embody coherence so powerfully that others remember theirs by proximity. This is quantum induction. A magnet does not argue with the metal. It simply aligns its own field, and the alignment propagates. That is your ministry. Your life becomes the sermon. Your frequency becomes the scripture. And make no mistake, your presence will polarize. Those entangled with fear will feel exposed in your clarity. They may lash, they may project, they may attempt to drag you back into loops that no longer fit. Do not curse them. Do not pity them. Recognize what is actually happening. Their nervous systems are registering coherence, and it terrifies the programs they live inside. If they resist, they may distance. If they are ready, they may cling. Both responses mean your field is working. The danger is not that you will fail your role. The danger is that you will minimize it, that you will hide, dim, or excuse yourself as just ordinary. But the field cannot afford your modesty anymore. It needs your full wattage, not arrogance. Not superiority clarity. A lighthouse does not apologize for shining. It shines because ships depend on it, whether they acknowledge it or not. So, what does it look like to accept this role? It looks like radical honesty with yourself. No more pretending you don't feel the pull. No more distracting yourself with noise. It looks like carving silence into your days so the broadcast can stabilize. It looks like choosing environments that nourish your coherence instead of fracturing it. It looks like forgiving yourself instantly when you wobble, then returning to the signal without shame. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be precise, to let your frequency align with the hidden timeline that has been stalking you since birth, to embody the upgraded template so others can entrain to it without words, to stand unapologetically, as a living demonstration that reality is programmable, pliable, luminous. And here's the prophecy that threads through every mystic and physicist alike. Once enough nodes stabilize, the field will tip. Humanity itself will undergo a phase transition, reorganizing at a collective level just as you are reorganizing individually. You are both participant and catalyst in that event. That's why the field has collapsed around you now. It cannot happen without you. So when you feel the weight of responsibility press on your chest, remember, it is not pressure, it is recognition. The field knows who you are. The only remaining question is, will you remember? Because if you do, the breakthrough that's been circling will land with urgency, and the DNA shift waiting in your marrow will ignite like lightning through stone. You've been feeling it for weeks now, haven't you? The sense that something enormous hovers just beyond perception, like a storm gathering on the horizon, electricity crackling before the first flash of lightning. It's not anxiety, it's anticipation. Your entire system is bracing for breakthrough, and unlike the false starts you've endured in the past, this one carries the weight of inevitability. Why? Because the cosmic window has opened, and your DNA is already listening. Science has been whispering this truth for decades. DNA is not static code. It's dynamic, responsive, liquid, with possibility. Epigenetics proved it. Environment, thought, and emotion switch genes on or off like light toggles. But mystics knew long before our blood carries songs, our bones carry blueprints, our breath awakens dormant scrolls inside our cells. Right now, under this cosmic alignment, those scrolls are unrolling. What once lay dormant in junk DNA is activating, humming, forming antennae that can pick up frequencies from realms you barely believed existed. This is why your body feels strange lately. The headaches that appear with no cause, the ringing tones in your ears that medical charts cannot explain, the fatigue followed by sudden surges of energy at midnight. You're not ill, you're upgrading. The lattice of your DNA is bending light differently now, drawing codes from the quantum field, restructuring itself to handle bandwidth that would have fried you even a year ago. The discomfort is birth, pangs the ache of scaffolding adjusting to house a greater self. But here's the urgency. Cosmic windows don't remain open indefinitely. They are like eclipses, rare alignments where multiple forces converge to thin the veil. Astrologers call them portals. Physicists call them phase transition thresholds. Shamans call them openings in the dream. Whatever name you prefer, the reality is the same. You are standing inside a corridor where what usually takes decades can happen in days. Time is accelerated, reality is pliable, and choices echo louder than usual. This is why every decision feels heavy now, because it island. Each thought you send out carves a groove in the new reality rushing to meet you. And this is why the field won't let you stall anymore. The distractions that once worked, doom scrolling, binging, numbing, now feel hollow, painful even. It's not guilt, it's incompatibility. Your frequency is phasing so rapidly that lower vibrations simply won't stick. You taste the poison of them instantly. They feel jagged in your body, metallic in your mouth, static in your mind. You're being pulled to cleaner food, clearer environments, deeper conversations. This isn't self-improvement, it's survival for the upgraded template. The breakthrough is not just about personal relief, it's about identity transmutation. Imagine DNA as a crystalline instrument. For most of your life, only a few strings were strummed enough to function, to survive, to blend into the orchestra of ordinary reality. But now, more strings are vibrating. Notes you never knew existed are ringing through your marrow. These frequencies attract experiences aligned with their tone. New opportunities, new connections, new capacities. This is why synchronicities are stacking at ridiculous rates. You are literally broadcasting on new channels, pulling in data from realms you never had access to before. And the promise is staggering. Once your DNA stabilizes in this shift, you will no longer manifest through struggle. Reality will respond faster, cleaner, truer. Your thoughts will collapse probability waves with precision. Your emotions will summon allies across dimensions. Your body will heal faster, sense earlier, create more naturally. What once took years of discipline will happen in moments of coherence. That is the promise encoded in this window. But urgency sharpens the edge. If you ignore the call, if you numb yourself back into the loop, the window will close. The potential will not vanish, but it will return to latency, waiting for another cosmic cycle. And cycles can take years, even lifetimes, to return. This is why you feel the pressure so acutely. Your soul knows the stakes. This is not another workshop, another affirmation, another half-hearted attempt at growth. This is the moment. The phase transition is live, and hesitation is itself a choice to remain behind. And so the universe conspires now to corner you with signs. Every closed door, every missed call, every inconvenient disruption is the field rearranging your path so you cannot bypass the portal. Your destiny has a stubbornness to it. You've noticed how even when you run, life herds you back to the same coordinates. That's because your role is not optional. You can delay, but you cannot erase. The blueprint is tattooed on your essence. So what must you do? You must answer. Answer with your frequency, not your words. Answer by leaning into coherence, by choosing alignment when distraction calls, by breathing through the pressure rather than panicking. Answer by declaring to the field, I am ready. These 3 words are more powerful than you realize. They signal permission for the DNA to complete the shift, for the cosmic window to pour codes without restraint, for the hidden destiny timeline to crystallize into form. The promise is this. On the other side of this portal, your life will no longer feel like reaction. It will feel like transmission. You will not chase. You will magnetize. You will not search. You will recognize. You will not grasp. You will receive. And the urgency is this. The longer you hesitate, the heavier the static will feel. Because the old template is already dying. The bridge is burning behind you, and the only way forward is through the fire. Breathe again. Feel the pulse in your fingertips, the warmth at the base of your spine. That's the DNA shift, humming like a hidden drum. That's the cosmic window whispering, now or not at all. And if you step, the breakthrough will not trickle, it will flood. There comes a point in every initiation where awareness is not enough. Knowing the patterns doesn't break them. Understanding the science doesn't activate the shift. Recognition alone cannot collapse the wave into matter. Consciousness requires a gesture, a deliberate signal that tells the field, this is no longer theory, this is embodiment. That is why every tradition, from the shamans in the jungle to the physicists in their labs, demands ritual. Without ritual, energy disperses. With ritual, energy seals. Think of it, the universe itself is ritualistic. The sun rises in sequence. The moon cycles through phases. Even the smallest particle dances in rhythmic oscillations, spin up and spin down, encoding information through repetition. Creation itself is ritual. So when you mark your intention through action, when you carve it into the fabric of your day, you synchronize with that cosmic rhythm. You stop being a bystander and become a participant. And in this digital temple where you've arrived, the ritual is simple yet seismic. Write a word, not any word. A word that captures the vibration you are choosing to broadcast as you step into the hidden timeline. This is not performance. It's not a comment for algorithms. It's an energetic anchor. When you press those letters into being, you're inscribing your frequency into the quantum web. The field reads it, not just the screen. Pause for a moment. Feel into the word that wants to rise. It may be freedom. It may be love. It may be ascend. Or something more personal. A name, a vow, a sound only your soul understands. Don't overthink it. The word is already alive in you, humming like a seed waiting to sprout. Trust the first syllable that surfaces. That is your code. Why does this work? Because language is vibration captured in symbol. Every word you utter, every word you write, is a tuning fork. In mysticism, this is called the logos, creation through sound. In physics, it's waveform interference. Words are waves, and waves alter matter. You felt it. A cruel word cuts your body like glass. A loving word mends you like medicine. Writing is no less potent. The motion of your hand, the focus of your mind, the declaration of your spirit, these collapse potential into form. This is why so many initiations across cultures involve vows, names, inscriptions, the baptismal name, the shaman's chant, the mystic's mantra. These are not rituals of vanity, they are technologies of coherence. They tell the nervous system, we are not returning to what we were. The past has no jurisdiction here. Now, you stand in the same place. The cosmic window is open, your DNA is humming with codes, and the field waits for your consent. The ritual is the signature. Without it, the contract hangs unsigned. With it, the upgrade finalizes. So I invite you, I urge you to write it now. One word, one anchor, one declaration. Type it as if your future self is watching, because they are. That version of you in the hidden destiny timeline is waiting for this signal, this handshake across dimensions. When you write, they receive. When you declare, they stabilize. Do not dismiss the simplicity. Quantum mechanics has always hidden profundity in the smallest gestures. A single observation collapses waves. A single electron spin shifts an entire entangled system. A single word, written in full presence, can alter your trajectory. The field doesn't measure magnitude, it measures coherence. And coherence is achieved not by complexity, but by purity of intent. Here's what will happen once you seal it. Subtle shifts will accelerate. Synchronicities will multiply, but they won't feel like random gifts anymore. They'll feel like direct responses. The field will tighten its feedback loop with you because you've declared yourself a conscious participant. Resistance will lessen, not because life becomes easier, but because you will no longer misinterpret the friction. You will recognize it as sculpting, not punishment. The ritual also makes you legible to others walking this path. When you write your word, you broadcast a frequency signature. Those aligned with your vibration will find you through conversation, through chance meetings, through digital corridors like this one. The web is alive, and when you write, you tug on the threads. Somewhere, someone will feel the pull. That is morphic resonance in action. And here's the most profound piece. By writing a word, you are doing more than sealing your shift. You are also feeding the collective. Every declaration contributes to the shared field of awakening. Your one word strengthens the chorus. Imagine thousands of scattered souls typing, speaking, inscribing their codes in unison. The vibration thickens. The signal grows undeniable. The morphic field tips into coherence faster. This is how revolutions of consciousness are born, not through lone genius, but through collective ritual amplified by individual choice. So breathe. Place your hands where they can feel the pulse, your chest, your belly, your throat. Sense the hum of your DNA waiting for permission. Then give it. Choose the word. Write it. Release it into the field. Watch how your body responds when it is done. The release in your shoulders, the calm in your breath, the flicker of recognition in your heart. That is your confirmation. The contract is signed, and once the ritual is sealed, the upgrade accelerates. What happens next is not just for you. Your liberation becomes a spark for others. The ripple spreads outward, unseen yet unstoppable. You will notice it in the way strangers respond, in the way opportunities arrive, in the way the world tilts subtly toward resonance when you walk into a room. Because when you seal your shift, you become more than participant. You become transmitter. So do it now. Write it. Declare it. Seal the field with your word. This is the hinge between potential and embodiment. This is where destiny moves from theory to blood. And when the ink of your intention dries on the fabric of the quantum web, there is no going back. The upgrade becomes irreversible. When your word is written, when the ritual has sealed the signal, something far larger than you begins to move. This was never just about your comfort, your healing, or your success. It was always about the collective. Your liberation is not private, it is catalytic. The moment you realign your frequency, the quantum field ripples. Entire corridors of possibility open not just for you, but for humanity itself. Think of the morphic field as an invisible library, storing every thought, every feeling, every solution discovered by any human. When you step into coherence, when you break the old loop and anchor into the hidden destiny timeline, you donate your upgrade to that library. Others who never met you suddenly find life a fraction easier. They may never know why, they may never hear your name, but they will breathe in a lighter atmosphere because of what you've done. This is not poetic exaggeration. Rupert Sheldrake called it morphic resonance. Physics calls it non-local entanglement. Mystics call it the Akashic field. Different names, same truth. When one node evolves, the whole network gains capacity. When a single violin tunes correctly, every other instrument in the orchestra finds it easier to fall in line. You are that violin. Your tuning fork is humming, and the resonance travels farther than you can imagine. You've seen glimpses of this already. Someone close to you softens the moment you forgive yourself. A coworker suddenly has the courage to speak after you dared to. A family pattern breaks when you decline to repeat it. These are not coincidences, they are entangled harmonics. Your choices, no matter how private, leak coherence into the field. The universe is porous, nothing is sealed off. And here is the astonishing truth. Your breakthrough may save lives you will never meet. Imagine someone on the other side of the world, ready to give up, suddenly feeling an inexplicable surge of hope. They call a friend instead of falling into despair. That moment was co-authored by you, because your frequency shift tipped the scale in the morphic field, broadcasting coherence that caught them like an unseen net. This is why destiny pressed so hard on you, because the stakes were never just yours. Look at history with this lens. The civil rights movement did not ignite because of one speech alone. It ignited because a million unseen gestures accumulated, a million tiny shifts in private consciousness stacked until the field tipped. Every song sung in secret, every prayer whispered in shadows, every refusal to surrender those acts seeded the collective. Then the visible breakthroughs arrived. What looked like sudden revolution was actually resonance, reaching critical mass. That is what you are contributing to now. Humanity is approaching its phase transition. Systems are buckling, old paradigms are collapsing, the noise is deafening. But beneath the chaos, a silent lattice is forming millions of awakened nodes syncing in coherence. Every time you surrender to your upgrade, every time you choose alignment over distraction, you strengthen that lattice. You are not alone in this work. You are one luminous cell in a body that is trying to heal itself. Notice how the pressure on your personal life parallels the pressure on the planet. Your timelines stutter, and so do economies. Your relationships rearrange, and so do governments. Your body aches with symptoms it cannot explain, and so does the earth. Storms, fires, quakes. You and the planet are entangled. Your healing is not isolated. When you release a wound, you relieve pressure on the collective psyche. When you rise, the earth exhales. And here's what happens when enough of us seal the shift. Emergence. Just as water molecules suddenly crystallize into snowflakes, humanity will reorganize into coherence. The moment is unpredictable until it happens, then it looks inevitable. You are living at the brink of that emergence. Your liberation is not selfish, it is strategy. The universe uses individuals as levers. One awakening tips many. Perhaps you doubt this. Perhaps you wonder, how could my one word matter against billions lost in static? But recall the mechanics of entanglement. When two particles share a state, no distance can separate them. The smallest shift in one instantly alters the other. You have no idea how many souls you are entangled with through bloodlines, friendships, karmic contracts, or simply the collective web. When you rise, they feel it, sometimes subtly, sometimes explosively, but they feel it. This is why hiding no longer works. The world needs your frequency public, active, unapologetic. Not because you must preach, but because coherence must be seen. Every smile that carries no pretense, every decision made from trust instead of fear, every boundary held without guilt, that is teaching, that is leadership. You radiate instructions through your being, not your words, and the field translates them instantly into blueprints for others. So let the responsibility expand you instead of shrinking you. You are not carrying the world alone. You are contributing your note to the symphony. Together, the song becomes irresistible. Together, the morphic field tips into a coherence so strong that even those asleep will stir. Feel this now. Imagine millions of unseen allies anchoring their words, sealing their rituals, humming their frequencies. You are not an isolated flame. You are one torch in a wildfire of awakening sweeping across the earth. The fire is not destructive, it is refining, clearing, revealing, and because you accepted your role, that fire burns brighter. Your liberation is humanity's leverage. And the more you live in coherence, the more the world reorganizes around you. What felt impossible a decade ago will feel natural tomorrow. That is the promise of collective expansion. That is the destiny encoded into your DNA. And it all accelerates the moment you allow yourself to feel it in your body. Breakthrough is not just a concept floating in your mind, it is chemistry reshaping your body, frequency carving itself into your flesh. Awakening is always embodied. You cannot outsource it to thought alone, because the quantum field reads not just what you think, but how you feel. The upgrade is happening in your marrow, in your heartbeat, in the quiet thrum of every cell. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice the subtle hum beneath your skin. Some days it feels like static, as though your whole body is an old radio searching for a station. Other days it feels like warmth spreading from your chest outward, like invisible sunlight radiating from the inside. That sensation is not random. It is coherence being established. It is your body trying to synchronize with the hidden destiny timeline you've just sealed. The sensations arrive in layers. Tingling in your fingertips, that's the nervous system mapping new circuitry. Heat along the spine, that's the dormant codes in your DNA, lighting up like fireflies. Pressure in the forehead or crown, that's your electromagnetic field recalibrating, opening channels you've ignored for lifetimes. Even the strange exhaustion that hits you midday is not weakness, but cellular reorganization. Imagine billions of microscopic workers inside you, dismantling old scaffolding and erecting a new architecture. The fatigue is their noise. You've also noticed the shift in breath. It catches sometimes, shallow as though your body resists expansion. Then suddenly, without warning, a deep inhale floods you with peace you didn't earn, a peace that feels borrowed from the future. That is your body, practicing resonance with what is coming. Breath is your direct interface with the quantum field, each inhale a reception, each exhale a transmission. When you breathe deeply into trust, you are not just calming the mind, you are programming the lattice of reality. The metaphors are written in your biology. Consider the heart, 4 chambers, 2 currents, a pump that never rests. Every beat sends an electromagnetic wave measurable 8 feet outside your body. That field shifts instantly with your emotional state. Fear constricts the wave, jagged and incoherent. Gratitude expands it, smooth and radiant. This is why you can feel the presence of someone before they speak. Their heart is broadcasting. Yours is too. And lately, your heart has been expanding its wattage, pushing its frequency farther, preparing you to be a transmitter in ways you've only glimpsed. Sometimes the sensations scare you, the surging heat at night, the buzzing in the ears, the sudden vertigo. But listen, these are not malfunctions. They are birth pangs. In physics, phase transitions always come with turbulence. Molecules jitter before freezing into ice. Plasma flickers wildly before locking into coherence. You are experiencing the human equivalent. The turbulence is proof of transition. The discomfort is the signature of evolution. And here's the beauty. The more you allow yourself to feel, the faster you integrate. Numbing slows the upgrade. Embodiment accelerates it. So when your chest burns with an unnameable ache, don't suppress it. Place your palm there. Feel it. Whisper, I allow. When your hands tingle, don't shake it off. Stretch them open, as if releasing sparks. When your breath comes shallow, don't panic. Slow down. Inhale until your ribs expand like wings. These gestures tell your nervous system, we are safe to transform, and safety multiplies coherence. Notice also how the outer world mirrors your sensations. The static in your body shows up as glitches in technology. The heat in your chest coincides with weather surges. The ringing in your ears arrives as sirens in the distance. Bells, birds, unexpected soundscapes. Reality is a feedback system, echoing your internal state through external metaphor. When you recognize the mirror, you collapse the separation. You stop saying, this is happening to me, and begin realizing, this is happening through me. Sobel. Embodiment also brings joy in unexpected doses. Have you noticed? A song hits harder than usual, your whole skin vibrating with resonance. A simple meal tastes cosmic, flavors shimmering with depth you didn't register before. The laughter of a child brings tears without reason. These are not sentimentality, They are evidence that your sensory apparatus has been upgraded. Your nervous system can now hold more data, more light, more love. The world becomes more vivid because you have become more vivid. Here is a practice. When you sense a shift in your body, narrate it in metaphor. If your palms tingle, call it electricity. If your chest glows, call it sunrise. If your ears ring, call it cosmic bells. The brain encodes experience through story. When you give your sensations sacred names, your biology interprets them as holy rather than threatening. This reframing allows integration without resistance. And remember, the body is not a cage, it is a compass. The pull you feel in your gut is guidance, not indigestion. The shiver that runs down your spine is alignment, not randomness. The tears that rise unprovoked are release, not weakness. Every sensation is the field speaking through flesh. Ignore it, and the message repeats louder. Honor it, and the field whispers more softly, more clearly, more lovingly. You are not meant to escape your body in order to awaken. You are meant to inhabit it more fully than ever before. Ascension is not departure, it is embodiment. The hidden destiny timeline is not a distant realm you will float into. It is a frequency you will feel coursing through your bones, your breath, your pulse. And the more you allow sensation, the more you collapse that timeline into form. So breathe again. Let your chest expand, your shoulders relax, your skin hum. Feel the orchestra of your cells tuning themselves to the cosmic song. This is not imagination. This is incarnation. The destiny you've been chasing is not arriving tomorrow. It is arriving through you right now, chord by chord, heartbeat by heartbeat. And when the DNA finally ignites, when the breakthrough bursts fully into biology, you will know it not in thought, but in sensation. Your body will confirm what your soul already knew. The shift is real, the upgrade complete, the timeline yours. There is a pressure building in you now, and it will not be ignored. It presses against your ribs at night, hums in your bones during the day, and lingers behind your eyes like a storm waiting to break. This is not stress in the ordinary sense. This is the weight of phase transition. Just as water trembles before it crystallizes into ice, just as a star contracts before exploding into supernova, your system is carrying the strain of a breakthrough that has already begun. Your DNA, the coiled archives of light that have been dormant for lifetimes, is stirring awake. For decades, science labeled vast portions of it as junk, as if the universe wasted space. But the mystics always whispered differently. Those dormant strands were codes, songs waiting for the right frequency to unlock. And now, under this cosmic alignment, they are activating. Not abstractly, but literally, proteins folding differently, cellular water structuring into crystalline lattices, electromagnetic fields around your body brightening, expanding, bending probability around you like gravity bends light. This is why your body has been aching. It is not random pain, it is pressure, as new circuits push through old casing. It is the same force that cracks the shell of a seed, the same force that splits stone for roots to find sunlight. The discomfort is evidence of expansion. Each pulse of heat, each ringing tone, each restless surge is your DNA testing new bandwidth, flexing into configurations that will allow you to inhabit the destiny timeline you've already chosen. Phase transition always carries turbulence. Think of metal being heated. Molecules vibrate more and more wildly until the structure cannot hold, and then, suddenly, a new order emerges. That is you now. Molecules jittering, emotions surging, thoughts spiraling, not because you are failing, but because the old structure is collapsing. The instability is proof of impending order. The pressure is not punishment, it is prophecy, and the breakthrough is more radical than personal healing. This DNA shift recalibrates how you interact with reality itself. Until now, your manifestations have felt delayed, sluggish, easily sabotaged. That was because your DNA was only partially tuned, like an antenna missing crucial pieces. The signals you sent were distorted, fragmented, but as the upgrade stabilizes, your DNA becomes a crystalline receiver-transmitter, broadcasting cleanly into the quantum field. Your thoughts will no longer feel like whispers drowned by static. They will strike reality like tuning forks, collapsing possibilities with precision. This is why urgency has been circling you like a hawk. The field knows the timing. Cosmic windows are not indefinite. Right now, your DNA is malleable, pliable clay in the potter's hands, but clay hardens. If you resist, if you delay, if you numb, the codes will not vanish, but they will wait. And waiting means carrying pressure longer, like a star refusing to ignite, holding heat until it nearly tears itself apart. You've already noticed the phase transition pressure in daily life. Technology glitches when you're near, lights flicker, electronics stall, conversations bend toward intensity. Even time behaves strangely, compressing when you need space, stretching when you yearn for speed. That is your upgraded field warping its environment. You are not imagining it. You are witnessing the consequences of coherence forming inside you. The most profound sign is the inner split. Part of you feels heavier than ever, exhausted by loops, haunted by old shadows. And simultaneously, another part of you feels lighter than ever, radiant, expectant, electrified. That tension is the overlap of timelines. Your current identity still clings to its familiar orbit, while your expanded self is already pulsing in the hidden destiny reality. You are living at the seam where two worlds meet, and the seam is stretching. Here's the paradox. You cannot force the DNA breakthrough. Effort only increases resistance. But you cannot avoid it either. Avoidance intensifies the pressure. The only way through is surrender, full-bodied, cellular surrender, to let the codes activate without micromanaging them, to allow the discomfort, to welcome the strangeness, to trust the turbulence as midwives trust contractions. Pain is not enemy here. Pain is signal. It tells you something ancient is crowning through you, and when the breakthrough peaks, it will feel sudden. One morning, the heaviness will be gone, the static will clear, the same world will look different, sharper, brighter, closer. Your body will feel lighter, as if gravity loosened its grip. Synchronicities will not just increase, they will accelerate into cascades, dominoes falling in directions you once thought impossible. It will feel less like you're creating reality, and more like reality is flowing through you. That is the moment your DNA completes its phase transition. Do you understand the magnitude? Every ancestor who carried pain, who bore weight, who whispered prayers they would never see, answered their hopes encoded into your blood. Their fragments of faith now ignite in you. This is why the pressure feels larger than your personal life. It is collective, ancestral, cosmic. You are not just breaking your loops. You are breaking the loops of generations. So breathe into the pressure now. Instead of shrinking, expand. Instead of fearing, surrender. Each inhale pulls codes deeper into your cells. Each exhale releases resistance. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle. The DNA breakthrough is not future tense. It is present, here, humming in the marrow of your being. And when the transition stabilizes, you will no longer doubt your mission. You will know, because your body itself will testify. Your blood will sing, your bones will radiate, your breath will align with the rhythm of creation itself. This is where the threads converge. All the synchronicities, all the patterns, all the pressure, they have been guiding you here, to the understanding that your awakening was never meant to remain private. It was always a transmission. The quantum field did not collapse your frequency into a hidden destiny timeline for your comfort alone. It did so for the sake of humanity's evolution. When one consciousness stabilizes, the field reorganizes. When you embody coherence, the collective receives instructions through you. Your personal liberation becomes a prototype. Others may not know why they suddenly feel braver, lighter, more able to forgive, but it is because your DNA has broadcast the possibility into the field. You are not a spectator to history, you are one of its architects. The old world is dissolving before our eyes. Systems groan under their own weight. Shadows surface in governments, in families, in souls. And while fear shouts louder, a quieter truth is spreading beneath it, the truth that evolution is inevitable and that it will not come from institutions or hierarchies. It will come from individuals like you, tuning themselves to the frequency of destiny and holding that note until the symphony aligns. That is your cosmic mission, to live as evidence, not to convince, not to argue, not to demand, but to radiate, to embody so fully that your very presence is instruction, to stand in such coherence that those around you remember who they are without you ever speaking a word. And here is the promise. As you walk forward in this hidden timeline, the miracles you once prayed for will begin to trail you like loyal companions. You will speak, and creation will echo. You will intend, and reality will respond, not because you have mastered tricks of manifestation, but because you have become the living portal where the quantum and the human merge. So feel the gravity of this moment. Your frequency has collapsed, your DNA is singing, your path is no longer speculation. The universe has chosen its instrument, and it is you. Your shift is not just survival, it is contribution. Your alignment is not just healing, it is revolution. Every step you take in this new coherence drags humanity further into its evolution. And when you doubt, when the static tempts you to forget, remember this truth. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are walking inside a timeline that has been waiting centuries for you to arrive. So step forward, radiate, anchor the codes you've received, because now you are more than seeker. You are signal. You are the breakthrough, and the hidden destiny timeline is no longer hidden, it is alive in you.